It's been about 2.5 months since I started my professional diagnosis for autism. I do believe that self-diagnosis is valid, and that for me, that was definitely enough after all the research I had done and all the online assessments I took. I knew 100% that I was autistic, but for me, I decided to go one extra step and get a professional diagnosis for two reasons, which I explained in my first video. The first was to get work accommodations if I needed it, and the second was to be able to have a better conversation with my family. I feel like they would have brushed me off had I just said I'm autistic without having a professional diagnosis to back that statement up. So for me, it was just a way to better communicate to both my family and others around me. I chose to go through a private organization that specialized in diagnosing autism and ADHD in older females as well as non-cisgender white males. This was important to me because a lot of the research I found and a lot of people's, I want to say, horror stories were that they were dismissed by professionals who only think white men can be autistic, or that don't consider the diverse background of people and how that can lead to different traits. So if the stereotypical traits don't present in women or people of color or people who are transgender, then they have been dismissed as not being autistic because they don't show the signs that white young children present. So it was important to me to work with people who understood that there are differences and that my traits and my symptoms and my experiences may be different than other people's. And I was really happy to be matched with a doctor that is also autistic. It made me feel validated and heard, being able to express my experiences with someone who probably understood what I was going through. Also, what I also really appreciated about the organization I worked with is they had a really great website that listed exactly how the process works, what you're going to pay out of pocket, who the doctors are. They tell you like all the services they offer, how much they cost, like basically anything and everything you'd want to know was on their website. So I felt really confident that this was a good choice for me. I also really liked that after 3 sessions, I would be done. I wouldn't have to wait months or years even to get a diagnosis finalized. I do know that being able to go through a private organization that didn't take insurance was a privilege that a lot of other people do not have. I've heard stories from others where they've had to wait 5 years for a professional diagnosis. I've heard people who it has taken years to diagnose, or that they can't afford it, that they've been to like state health agencies and they've been dismissed. So I'm very thankful and fortunate for that I was able to do this in my life, especially right now when I feel like I needed it the most. And I know a lot of other people don't have access like I did. The way my assessment was set up was over 3 different sessions, each about an hour long. They were all over Zoom, which at first I was not sure I would enjoy because I'm very awkward over Zoom or any kind of video chats, even phone calls. I have a really hard time communicating over the phone or through video chats. It's something I've always struggled with, especially with work. So I was nervous about that, but part of the first session was a 15-minute pre-screening to make sure that you met the criteria for the DSM, which is the standardized testing for autism, and that after you can ask whatever questions you want during the pre-screening. And that was one of my concerns, was not being able to to present my true self online via video chat. But so after you get to have your questions answered, you can decide if you want to continue or not. And at that point, if you do not want to continue or you don't meet the criteria, you will not be charged for any of the sessions, including the first one. So once I met the doctor, and once we talked about my concerns and how the whole process would go, I felt strongly that I wanted to continue, and I did meet all the criteria for the DSM. So we began there. The each session, like I mentioned, was about an hour long, and I did one a week. So from when I approached them and said, hey, I would like to be diagnosed, I had my first session scheduled for the following week, and then the next two right after that. So it went really quickly, and I was very grateful for that, because I am very impatient, and waiting for things like that, or results, or like anything where I have to wait for something, gives me a lot of anxiety. And the first week where I was waiting to hear back from them to get the first session scheduled, that was probably the most anxious I felt, just because I wanted to get it scheduled and just get the process going. But once I got to the first session, it went really well.
So it's been a week since my first appointment, and it went really well. The doctor was so nice, and I've just been feeling really good this week. I know it's not a therapy session, but talking to a professional and someone who is also neurodivergent was really therapeutic. She listened without making any judgments. It was mostly asking yes or no questions based on my past and current experiences. But there are a few times where she would ask more in-depth questions to get to know me a little bit more. And same with a lot of the questions she asked, I've answered on online assessments. But there were a few that either she came up with herself or that I hadn't heard before, and they were really insightful. So yeah, it was a really good first session. I'm feeling really positive this week. My next session's tomorrow, and then I have one more a week after that, and then I'll get my diagnosis. But what she observed was matching what I feel about myself and what the online assessments were telling me. So I don't think I will be surprised by my diagnosis. And yeah, so anyways, I will do another follow-up after tomorrow's session and let you know how that goes. That one's going to be about overstimulation and sensory triggers, which for me I think is the biggest thing in my life that causes me to get overwhelmed and experience meltdowns. So I don't think I will be surprised by what we talk about, but I mean, I was a little, I had some really good questions asked in this last one, so I'm hoping to get more of that. I've also, since that last session, been really what is that word? Anyways, self-reflecting, that's what it is. I've really been self-reflecting about other areas of my life that are probably caused by autism. So there have been a few nights where I've been super excited writing all these things down that I haven't been able to sleep, but it's in a positive way, because I'm just exploring myself, and my husband and I have been having really good talks this last week about his experience with ADHD and mine with autism, and how they're different, but also how we definitely experience similar things growing up, which we already knew that based on our childhoods, but even more in depth, and I feel like both of us are feeling a lot closer to each other, so that's really awesome. But yeah, I will continue to document this and let you know how it goes, and hope y'all are having a good day.
I'm headed out to work soon, but I just wanted to give you an update on my second assessment that I had a few days ago. It was not what I expected. I was really looking forward to it and kind of ended up disappointed at the end of it. Not that the session was bad, but I didn't feel as prepared as I thought I would in the interview. People with autism in general struggle with open-ended questions or not not being or answering. People with autism struggle with answering questions on the spot that they don't already know the answer to or haven't prepped for, and that's what I was struggling with. It was all about being overstimulated and stimulants that cause us stress, which I thought I knew myself pretty well on. But a lot of the questions the doctor was asking, I had never thought of, and I couldn't give a honest answer whether I did those things as a child growing up or not. Just I didn't remember. Um, so I felt really frustrated with myself that I couldn't give an answer. And even at the end of it, she did say that she had enough um, enough information from me from the 2 sessions to know that I do have autism. And we still have one more session to go, but she said I definitely am. But even after that, I felt like if I didn't give her the full answers to her questions, that I don't know, I felt like maybe like I wasn't autistic enough, or like if I didn't give a full history of the things she was asking me, maybe she would change her mind, even though I know that that's not going to happen. But it just made me feel like I just didn't quite get it. And I don't know if that makes sense, but so after that session, I did a lot of self-reflecting the last 24 hours, and did come up with more examples of what she was asking for. Um, so I felt better about that I could like give her more information. And she responded. I sent it off by email, and she responded and said, "Thanks for this. That does help her." I feel better after I sent off my responses to her. And I'm glad that she appreciated that. I wasn't sure if that was going to come off pushy, but I took the chance and it worked out fine. I'd rather her have that information and tell me, "Oh, well, you should have saved it for our next session," which she didn't say, rather than not telling her and just sitting with that feeling all week. So I'm glad I did that. And then in the third session, we did a couple more multiple choice questions. Um, I honestly don't remember what we talked about because that part was very short, but then mostly we talked about accommodations in the workplace or for school if I ever went back, what I would need. So we went through a whole list of things she suggested. I had my own list prepared because if I knew that the whole reason I was doing this was to get accommodations, so I wanted to make sure I got exactly what I needed. So I had a whole list of what I wanted down also, and so together we put that together to go in like my full assessment. And then that was mostly the third one. And at the end of the third, she did say officially, "Congratulations, welcome to the club. You are autistic." Um, and at that point, I mean, I had been emotional throughout this whole process. Like, I found myself in tears at random times from the first session through the third. But when she said that at the very end of our third session, I could not keep myself. I just fell apart in a good way. It, I felt relieved and just, like I said, validated, and just, it was just nice to hear from a professional that my experiences are not unique and that I'm not the only one who goes through these things, and that my whole existence, I haven't been a burden and I haven't been stubborn or difficult, which I've been told my whole life. So it just like all the emotions I had been keeping in for years and wasn't expecting to come out just came flooding out at the end of that. And I probably just sat at my computer and cried for a good 5-10 minutes after the session was over.
Well, congratulations and welcome officially to the autism community, Jessica.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
So I just finished with my last assessment and it went really well. I did get really emotional at the end when she said that I'm officially diagnosed autistic and welcome to the club. That just hit me really hard, and I'm not really sure how I'm feeling with all of it. So I went on a little walk to help me regulate my emotions. Overall, I guess I'm feeling relieved that it is autism that I've been struggling with and coping with my whole life. And she did say she sent the official diagnosis letter right after the appointment. I have not read it yet. I kind of wanted to give myself some time to decompress because I was just really emotional at the end, but it went really well. I really liked the doctor and I had a really good experience. After I read the letter, it will have accommodations for mostly for work, or if I was a student and going to school, what things I would need to help me succeed in a working environment. So that'll be nice to be able to present to either my current job or if I'm looking in the future to have that on hand. And then after that, in 2 to 4 weeks, I should be getting my full assessment. It sounds like it's a pretty big document, so I'll look for that and then let you guys know. But yeah, it turns out I am autistic, and I feel really good about that. I feel like a weight's been lifted and that I finally feel at peace with who I am. That might not be the same for everyone who's diagnosed, but for me it was just very validating about how I felt my whole life and the experiences I've had. So I know it doesn't really solve anything. I will still experience these issues, but being able to name why I'm feeling that feels really good. So yeah, I'll update you once I read my letter, and then once I get the full assessment back.
So once I was done with the third session, I got an email that night with my official letter stating that I had met the criteria of the DSM and that I was diagnosed autistic on whatever date it was. And then after that, I had to wait 2 to 4 weeks for my like official assessment to come back, which had everything that the doctor and I went over. And I literally checked my inbox every single week, like every single Monday, waiting for that to come out. And it finally came out 4 weeks and 2 days after my last assessment. And After reading it, it was very strange to read through it and have someone else's opinion about myself written down. So overall, I thought it was very good and pretty accurate, but there were some things where I felt that the doctor may have misinterpreted what I said or exaggerated what I said, which was very, I did not enjoy the feeling it gave me of reading someone else's thoughts and them not being what I consider correct about myself. Um, like there was one thing where it said like Jessica would do such and such for hours and like lose track of time, which, and we did talk about those activities, but I don't remember saying that I would do them for hours on end. Like that to me seemed like an exaggeration. There was a couple other things where I don't even remember me saying that, and maybe I did. I'll have to rewatch the videos to see if I did say those things, but there were a few things where I was just like, that doesn't really sound like me. And I don't know if it's just me being particular because I feel like I have such a strong sense of who I am and my experiences that I don't really like when other people interpret me. I don't know if it's the thought of others, someone else perceiving me wrong, or, and I don't really like when people misinterpret me or exaggerate. To me, that's like a blatant lie, which I know that that's not her intention or anybody's intention really. But that's just how I think about things like that. Like if it's not the whole truth, nothing but the truth, then it's like an absolute lie. And that's just the way my autistic brain works. But yeah, it was really weird reading the final letter. I do agree with a lot of it, and um, I'm glad. I'm still glad I went with um, the organization I did, and I did really like the doctor. It was just strange to see myself through someone else's lens on a professional scale. Um, I don't know if anyone else has gone through that where they were just like, "What? That's not right." Um, but yeah, so that was about, I think it was about 3 weeks ago now that I got that letter. Um, and so now I'm just trying to get myself out of burnout and take care of myself. I've really, since that second week of the assessment, I have just been all over the place emotionally, which I was not expecting. Um, Mainly because I feel like in the beginning when I was like, yeah, I am definitely autistic, in like the beginning stages um of my research and of my like just collecting data, I was all on board, and I kind of skipped over the phase that a lot of people go through of feeling anger or like denial that that could be them. I skipped over that right into acceptance because yes, I am definitely these things, and I feel like I had been doing so much other, I'm going to say, soul searching, trying to figure out my personality, who I was, unpacking childhood trauma and post traumatic stress. Um, like this just seemed to be the this was just it for me, and I was like already accepting of that, and I still am. I'm totally accepting, and I don't feel any like um I do get, I do once in a while get hit with imposter syndrome. Like, um, are you sure you're autistic? You don't really have some of the social qualities that other people go through, or you you had friends growing up, whereas this person you just watched a video of obviously didn't, and they had such a hard time that they ended up in a mental psychiatric facility, whereas like I feel like I just kind of floated through my childhood and teenage years. But like everybody's experience, I have to remind myself that everybody's experience is different, and that my diagnosis is just as valid as someone else's, that everyone's traits, and autism presents differently. So I have to remind myself to be kind to myself that yes, you are autistic. You're not an imposter. You didn't just make this up like just to find an excuse. This is not an excuse for my behavior. This is like an explanation for the way I am. But yeah, overall it's been good. I've definitely been dealing with a lot of burnout. So I've just been trying to be kind to myself, taking it really slow. I used to be able to work nonstop from 5 a.m. to 8, 9 p.m. without breaks, without stopping for real food, and just work on project after project after project. And now I can barely brush my teeth and wash my hair some days. Which that's kind of the basis of keeping me so right now my idea of a successful day is self-care, brushing my teeth, washing my face, eating 3 meals a day, and spending time with family, and maybe reading. If I can get those simple tasks done in my life, I feel like I've accomplished something. Whereas before it would be, I can't believe you've just wasted a whole day on doing nothing. I've really had to change my mindset about how much I can get done and how much it's realistic of me as far as my energy goes. Some days are better than others. I feel like now that it's spring and getting warmer out, I've had a bit more energy. We just got back from a camping trip, which was nice, but I didn't realize how much energy that would take from me. And today I am exhausted. We got home yesterday and I couldn't even unload the car or help put dishes away or anything. I went and laid down and I was fending off a meltdown because it was just too much. And I kind of suspected that might happen, but I just wasn't sure. That was our first camping trip we've taken since the fall, and the first big thing we've done since my autism diagnosis, and which doesn't seem like it should change anything, but knowing why I do the things I do, it definitely made a difference in trying to manage my energy level and making sure I didn't overdo it. So today I'm taking it easy. I'm blogging this because I've been putting it off and I need to get it out to you guys. And then I think I might do a couple little things here and there, but I'm just really trying to take it easy on myself. Fortunately, I have a very supportive husband that really knows that I've been struggling and has been trying to take as much off of my plate as possible, by cooking, cleaning, doing dishes, taking care of Charlotte, our dog. Just he's stepped up more than 100%, and I really appreciate it, because I can't do those things right now. And if I was left to myself to feed myself, I would probably eat sugary cereal and frozen bean burritos for my meals, and that's not healthy. So I'm really thankful that he's been taking care of all of us. And I know it's a lot for him because I've done all those things and been the household caregiver, but I'm just really thankful that we can split those tasks when one of us is not feeling mentally strong. Yeah, that's where I am right now in life. Just trying to take it day by day. The hardest part for me has been going to work every single day. That's what I struggle with the most in life right now, is getting the motivation and energy to actually go to work, because transitions from place to place activity are really hard for me, especially when I don't want to be at work to begin with. I enjoy my job, I enjoy the actual job of it, but the office has been so loud lately, and it's always like that, but I've just been, since I'm in burnout, I notice a lot more, and I've tried headphones, but that doesn't quite work for me, and I don't want to talk to people. I want to get my work done. I want to come home and just sit in my safe spot and not talk to anyone. So work has been the most difficult part of all of this right now, and I think it's always been the most difficult part of my life. I just never admitted to it. I always just push through because that's what society tells you, that you have to work 40 hours a week in order to be remotely successful. Um, so I'm working with that, trying to figure out where balance is. But yeah, that's where I am right now, and we'll see. Um, Overall, I'm hopeful that things will things will get easier as I come out of burnout and as the weather gets nicer, go outside more, get vitamin D, which I know is really important for me, go on daily walks. So I'm just trying to take care of myself, and that's all I can do right now. So if anyone is feeling like life is too much, just, you are not alone, and just take care of yourself little by little. If getting dressed is too much, don't. Just do as little as possible. One thing I have been doing is been taking a couple days off each month, either just like a Friday or maybe Wednesday through Friday, depending on the month, just to focus on myself and be home and decompress. I've done it a couple times now since my diagnosis, and I don't know if it's helped, but I think long term it will, just knowing that I'm giving myself a little break here and there. So that's everything that's been going on right now. I'm just trying to find balance, like I said, and figure out what to prioritize just to keep myself healthy and, um, yeah, just to keep myself healthy. So I'm going to continue to work on me and work on what I want right now, and we'll just see. We'll just see how this year goes. Um, I'm glad I have the support system I do, and I'm very fortunate to be able to go on this journey. Um, so yeah, even though I know things are feeling really rough right now, I know that I have I have the support I need, to figure out the next steps in my life. So I think I'll leave it there, and I will see you guys next week.